Butter chicken is one of those iconic dishes that is so closely linked to Indian food. So today I'm going to show you how to make the best butter chicken right at home, and it's probably going to be the best one you will have ever. This recipe is going to be great for anybody out there who are looking to impress or court someone, because trust me, it works. Now before I get into the actual recipe, let me talk about 5 mistakes which I've seen being done on a butter chicken recipe. Adding onions. You don't need onions at all. No matter what they tell you that it's for sweetness, it's for texture, you don't add onions to a butter chicken. A butter chicken is not supposed to be a dish that's overly spicy and just unbalanced. You'll see it's going to be really nice and balanced, flavorful dish. Also, it does not contain any turmeric. You don't need it. It does not need ghee. Butter works much better. It has a complete different flavor to ghee. And also, you never cook the chicken with the sauce. It's always cooked separately. So now that I have laid out the rules for a butter chicken, go ahead and hit subscribe and let's get to the actual recipe. So we'll start with the actual chicken, and go ahead and cut your chicken into 1.5 to 2 inch cubes. And then to make the first marinade, add in your lime juice, degi mirch and salt. We'll use degi mirch for a lot of this recipe, so make sure you get the right kind of chili powder. Do not substitute this with the regular chili powder. It's gonna be completely different and it's gonna make the dish unbearably spicy. Degi mirch is awesome to add color without the excessive spice. Whisk that up really nice, add your chicken, and then just set that aside for 20 to 30 minutes. So while that happens, prepare your second marinade. And I'm just going to make my ginger garlic paste fresh right now. So it's always going to be 2 parts garlic and 1 part ginger with a bit of water just to get the blades moving. Once that's done, you can put that aside in a container or a bowl and just cover that with a bit of oil to make sure it doesn't get oxidized. Once the first marinade is complete, in the same bowl, add in your ginger garlic paste, yogurt, more degi mirch, garam masala and salt. Give that all a really good toss, and then you want to set that aside for at least 1.5 to 2 hours, or preferably overnight. Now once the chicken is done marinating, you can start preparing the sauce. Heat up half of your butter in a large pot and then add in your aromatics. So your green cardamom and your mace. And the mace is actually a spice which grows outside and around the nutmeg. And then also add in your cashews, followed by the ginger and garlic paste. You want to cook this out until the spices are aromatic and the rawness from the ginger and garlic has cooked off. For the actual base of the sauce, I'm using passata, which is strained tomatoes. In some countries, you may find passata by the name of tomato puree. You may use that as well. So now add in your passata and give it all a really good mix and bring that mixture up to a simmer. Once that happens, add in some salt and degi mirch and just give it a good mix. And then you're going to cook that with the lid on for about 10 to 12 minutes and just stir that every few minutes just to make sure nothing gets stuck. Be careful though, because it's hot tomato sauce and it may splatter on you. So don't burn yourself. Now while those tomatoes are simmering, you can start preparing your chicken. What I like to do is just turn my oven into broil mode and cook it under that broiler until it's nice and charred. That's the best way that I have found to replicate that hot tandoor oven if you don't have a barbecue at home. A trick that I learned to actually cook that chicken really well under that broiler is to put a wire rack over your baking tray and lay out the chicken over that wire rack. Then pour in some water into that baking tray so that your pan doesn't get damaged under that hot broiler, and you might want to refill that in case you notice that it's getting dried out, but that's going to make sure that chicken is nice and moist as well from the humidity from that water. So just place that in the second or first highest rack of your oven and turn on the broiler on full. Halfway along the cook time, you might want to turn the chicken to make sure the other side gets charred as well. So keep an eye on the chicken while your sauce gets prepared. So after it's done cooking, the sauce would have thickened, and if you taste it, it'll taste nice and sweet with a bit of spice from that degi mirch. But don't worry, we'll balance that out by adding in some butter and some honey to taste. You want to make this sauce sweet and spicy. It's going to be a really well-rounded sauce with all kinds of aromatics, all kinds of flavors, and it's not going to be unbalanced or overly spicy at all. And once you've blended in your honey and butter, mix it, cook it for 1 to 2 minutes, and then transfer everything into a food processor and then puree it completely. You may have to add a splash of water to make sure it's all pureed, and then once that is done, transfer that through a sieve back into your pan or your pot. Now this step requires a bit of forearm strength, so go ahead and work it, and it's gonna be really nice and smooth. And you really want to do this step to get that restaurant quality butter chicken. Now bring that sauce back up to a simmer and then add in some dried kasuri methi or dried fenugreek leaves. That's gonna be another really nice aromatic to that sauce. And to really unlock those flavors, you wanna crush that lightly between the palms of your hands. Then stir that for 1 to 2 minutes, and then we're gonna finish that sauce with the garam masala and some cream. Now for the cream, I'm using 10% because that's what I'm using to dilute that sauce, and I find that's much better than heavy cream to really add that body to that sauce without putting too much cream, without lightening the color of that sauce. We want a nice, bright orange color on that sauce. And as soon as you've done that, here is my chicken tikka, which just got done cooking, nicely charred, browned throughout, and cooked completely. And you always want to add cooked chicken into your butter chicken sauce. So go ahead and add it all in, and then give it all a really nice mix. And at this point, that butter chicken is really close to done. Just make sure the sauce is to your liking. You can dilute it with some water if you want, but I wouldn't add too much. I prefer to just let it all go on butter chicken night and just dilute it with more 10% cream when I want to. You can even do that the next day if the sauce is too thick. If you ate it all the previous night, just add a bit more cream and you'll be good to go. And with that, I'm gonna end this video. Be sure to hit subscribe, hit that bell icon, and I'm gonna enjoy this dish today with my rumali roti, which is so nice and soft, nice and thin. Just gonna mop up all that sauce with all that chicken, and I'm gonna head out. Bye guys.